6th, 2023. My name's Eric, host of the show, based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and computer geek. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events and started a small preparedness company to help people get prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
You said you were going to read it.
Yeah, I didn't.
All right. My name is Ian. I'm a homesteader on Vancouver Island who has no idea how OPSEC works. Email for my address. We can always have coffee.
Is there a story there? There's got to be a story there.
Not really. I have no OPSEC sense. That's all.
And I'm Jeff. I'm based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, weather nerd, and a roof repairman by necessity. Yes, I read mine.
It's been a day, so I'm going to read mine. I'm the Frugal Gunny. I recently moved to Northern Ontario, pretty much in the middle of nowhere. I'm an off-grider, a shooter, hunter, fisher, gatherer, trapper type, and a generalist. And I only recently came to accept that I'm a prepper.
Welcome to the club.
Well, the first step to solving your problem is admitting you have one, right?
This is true.
That's what I figured. It's like, all right, let's call it what it is. Now we can move on.
Okay, I'm Terry. I live in sunny Central Ontario. Starving indie author, terrible hunter, pathetic fisherman, and that's why I hang out with these guys, is to get all the good advice they have.
I was going to say, because I'm a terrible hunter too.
I'm really good at hunting beer out of the cooler.
I'm good at that. Yes, I am. I give myself an ace plus there.
Deer out of the forest, whole other story.
Yeah.
And if you want to help support the show and ruin your OPSEC, you can buy some swag, and we'll mail it to Ian, and then Ian can mail it to you. We have both the
with his home
Canadian
address and the return label.
Yes, of course. We have the Canadian Prepper Podcast T-shirt and the Tactical Velcro patch at prepperpodcast.ca. All proceeds help keep the lights on, the backup generator fueled, and cover our podcast costs.
And if you're
Stamps
enjoying the
are
show,
extra.
Oh, sorry. If you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes to submit a review on iTunes or wherever you may have found us. We really want your feedback, good or bad. Let us know if there's a topic you want us to cover, because we're always looking for a topic. And tell us something you learned this week. And you can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
You can also just email us for Ian's home address, and we'll happily send it your way. All right, so we've got some frigid content for you in this episode. I'm going to start off with some relevant news articles, update you on our personal preps and what we've done since the last episode. We're going to get into the main topic, winter preps, because, well, winter's here. So let's move into the news.
All right. Well, it didn't happen during the winter, but it happened during the summer. A tale of crappy survival and really good survival. So in the Daily Mail, there's a bunch of places to find this article, but there's a story about a 71-year-old hiker who went missing in Colorado since August. And anyways, they found him. He did not survive. He sucked at surviving. But his dog was a survival ace. So what happened with the dog? It's a Jack Russell Terrier, so not exactly the largest, meanest dog on the block, especially compared to coyotes or wolves or anything else. Without eating his owner, he actually managed to survive from August until last week, and basically kept himself alive. And when he was found found sitting beside his owner, protecting his owner's carcass.
Wow.
So consider the fact that this has been, 4 months now? And the dog was in great shape and was still sitting there trying to protect his owner, even though his owner died months ago. And kudos to him. So that dog gets a gold star for survival. That's all I'm going to say. Because
this is why I like dogs more than I like people.
Yeah. Wow, loyal to the end and then some, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that says a lot. He didn't even try and walk home or anything else. So he was reunited with his family and, what's left of his family, should I say. And, no worse for wear after 4 months solid in the bush.
Impressive.
And believe it or not, that's actually not that uncommon. We had a missing, this was a few years ago, but it was a missing kid, like 6 years old, who disappeared, and they found the child with the dog. The dog wouldn't leave the kid's side, and the kid was like 3 kilometers from home. And of course, the problem being that the dog wouldn't let the first responders near the kid, but they they found him, and the dog was like right there, wasn't going anywhere.
Again, I like dogs more than I like people for stated
Yeah.
reasons here and others.
I've just got a related article to something I discussed probably a few episodes ago. The Iceland volcano threat continues to diminish every day that it doesn't erupt. Obviously, that makes sense. It's still possible that it's going to happen, but even if it does, they don't think that it's going to have the catastrophic effect on that village that they thought it would have. I mean, the village has already suffered some significant damage, even though the volcano never erupted. Just with all of the earthquakes and the seismic activity, parts of the town dropped like a foot. So it broke the water pipes, it broke the sewer pipes, it broke the, I don't know if they have gas down there, but I mean, it affected their water, it's affected their sewer, it's cracked the roads and stuff like that, but nobody's died, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, actually, I'm somewhat selfishly happy about that too, because that town is about 2 kilometers away from the infamous Blue Lagoon, which is on my bucket list for places to visit. It's like a giant set of hot springs out in the middle of nowhere. And
Right, I've heard of them, yep.
It was going to blow that to smithereens if it had gone off. So I was like, yeah, I maybe got another year before I can, maybe crank a visit in or something. We'll see. Anyways, but yeah, no, it's nice to see that nobody's been hurt and no real property damage other than just the occasional foundation destruction. That's about it.
You and your hot springs.
Gotta love them.
Well, I have an article from that's about a week old now, I guess, but one of my dear brothers in the Royal Canadian Air Force got caught for smuggling firearms into the country. Now, I think this is fake news myself, because I think that he's probably trying to replenish our military stock, maybe not quite as quickly as Trudeau is at bleeding them. But he's working hard. He should be given a medal for bravery, but I think he's probably going to get his pee thing whapped.
Well, and up to about 2 years ago, he was probably not importing anything illegal. But, thanks to clownish gun changes to the laws there, or changes to the gun laws, he's got some trouble heading his way. I mean, sadly, I think he bought them completely legally when he was based down in the States, but he was coming back and just tried to sneak them in without declaring them, and that's where he ran into a foul of the law, I guess. But
Oops.
Yeah, there's nothing sacred. Them guys are looking pretty careful anymore. Nobody gets a free break. That's for sure.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, back at like World War II, Korea, and these guys had all these bringbacks. Did they declare them at the time, or they just bring them back?
God, I don't know.
Yeah,
I've been on trips back in my day when we'd the plane would land in Edmonton or Goose Bay or wherever we happen to be coming back into, and customs guy just walk on board and see, you guys got nothing to declare, right? Okay, have a nice day, and that was it. They were gone. But I think those days are sadly gone.
yeah.
Yep. Shall we move into what we've done lately for preps?
Actually, there was one article I just remembered. I was going to add it and I forgot, and then I should have added it. Anyways, I'm sure people have heard the alleged terrorist attack that happened at the Rainbow Bridge in Niagara Falls. It turned out to not be that, and I guess considering everything going on in the world, their response to it was not disproportional. They shut down all of the border crossings in Niagara area, so the Whirlpool Bridge, Peace Bridge, Rainbow Bridge. Can't remember what the fourth one is, but they shut them all down. They were closed for, 5 or 6 hours. Anyways, long story short, it is that it was a local family, husband, wife, middle-aged from Grand Island, New York. And I'm kind of thinking that it's the possibility that it was maybe a suicide. Nobody's ever said it, but they were able to trace him back to a casino. And then this happens, and he, this goes to show, I guess, the information or lack of information right off the bat, first thing is it's a terrorist attack. Then it was an accident. Anyways, turns out, and then they were on the bridge, but then they got sent to secondary, and then they blew up. And turns out they were never on the bridge. They were never sent to secondary. They were on a side road in Niagara, and at a super high rate of speed, hit the curb, launched airborne, and crashed into the inspection station on the American side. So, anyways, just goes to show you how things can get blown up excuse the pun, blown up out of proportion.
Well, and the interesting thing is nowadays, like as the internet is forever, I mean, thanks to the Instagram and Snapchats and all that stuff, these news media outlets are like they're the first ones to go, say the word terrorism and everything else. Then later on, when the truth started coming out, they're like, well, we didn't say that, and everybody's like, here's a screenshot of what you actually said. They're like, oh,
or even better,
okay.
you haven't taken down what you said before already. It's still up.
It's like the Wayback Machine's a thing. And so, yeah, like all these news media's had egg on their face because they were like trying to chase after politicians for like standing up in a House of Commons.
And I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it was hilarious that one of the reporters for a news agency that had to walk back their terrorist comments tried to attack Poilievre for standing up in the House and saying it was a terrorist attack. And he goes, no, I didn't say that. I said the media have reported that. And he said, are you going to deny that your media outlet didn't report that? Yeah.
Have a nice day.
He just embarrassed him, and it was funny. I like how I like him. I actually do. He doesn't. I don't know if he would be a great prime minister, but he certainly knows what he's doing when it comes to having to deal with the media.
Like every politician, he's in the timeshare sales, stage of his leadership, right? So he's trying to sell you on him, and then once you buy in, then everything, all the terms and conditions will change. So,
are you suggesting that all politicians are the same, Ian?
Well, they're all terrible people. Yes. I don't think you could be a good person and be a politician at the same time. It's almost impossible. Morally bankrupt sociopaths, generally.
Fair enough.
All right, so we'll move on to what we did for preps since I'm first on the list. I put my snow tires on the truck, and I'll be explaining why in my my weather blurb there a bit. Tested my generators again because of the discussion I'm going to have. Did some fuel rotation. Did some yard cleanup from my fallen tree because I was sick and tired of waiting for the insurance company. I inherited a free snowblower from my brother. Took me all of 15 minutes to get it running. So I'm 2 out of 2 with getting good working stuff for next to nothing and a little bit of work, and I've got it running. So pretty
what
happy.
You're saying is you didn't listen to the small engine repair episode.
Who, him?
Jeff did. His brother didn't.
Yeah, Jeff did. His brother didn't.
He wouldn't have any idea anyways. If you put a wrench in his hand, he'd look at it and go, does it hook up to the internet?
Yeah, it's got Bluetooth. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a smart wrench.
Oh boy.
I'm done when those come out,
Oh yeah. Yeah. The second those come out. Yep. No thanks.
Yep,
and I'm a techie guy. For myself, got the NVIS antenna permanently installed here now. So I've been playing around with some setups, but finally bit the bullet, ran more cable into the shack here, and have it all set up and good to go. I still stand by my statement that LMR 400 is an absolute bear to work with, but once it's in place, it's good. But my God, did it ever suck to run through the walls. I think I had forgotten how bad that it sucked before because I did it again. And yeah, it took a while, but it's all done. It's all set up and it's operating, which is good. Got out with Jeff and did some Parks on the Air activation. So that was always good to be able to get out and do. And we got into Spain. So that was kind of neat on a little vertical antenna. Repurposed a Tough Book, one of those Panasonic Tough Books. It's a CF20, so it's a laptop / tablet. So got that all repurposed for, wait for it, ham radio work. Weird, right? That's strange for me.
I am blown away.
I know, right? I don't think anybody ever saw that coming. But,
so shocked.
I know, weird. But it's a fun little project to have that available now for portable operations. And then I've just been battling the never-ending cold that my kids keep like to bring home from school/daycare. It's been 2 weeks of why won't this stupid cough go away? And then it goes away, and then it comes back. It's been awesome.
Yeah. Well, schools are basically giant disease factories anyway, right?
Yep, they sure are. But what do you do?
Yeah. Well, the good news is by the time it's all done, your immune system will be like built like a brick shit house, type of thing. So,
Yeah, or I'll just be sick again.
oh yeah, one of the two. Well, as for myself, I took advantage of Black Friday. Managed to buy myself some fishing rods and some tackle. And how's that for OPSEC?
Mhm.
No. Okay. Yeah, Cabela's had some sales on projectiles for reloading, and while their sale price is still higher than their pre-COVID price, but whatever, it's best you're going to do nowadays. Let's see here. I had to change the oil on the truck because it was overdue, and I had been ignoring it since I was commuting back and forth to work there in Ontario. Minor maintenance issue fixed on that as well. If you can imagine this, when you hit a certain speed and RPM on the truck, it sounded like a skill saw was being like run against the side of it. And I was thinking fan issue, transmission issue, everything else. Turns out it was just the heat shield on the cat, like the catastrophic there. It was awesome. So yeah, $30 fix basically. It was pretty amazing. I was expecting a much bigger bill. Winter tires on the Volvo. Why winter tires on the West Coast? Because I have a set for it and I didn't know what else to do with it. So I'm putting winter tires on the Volvo when it's not really necessary. But anyway, still warm enough to do some stock refinishing, which is good because there's still some of the old pieces of wood floating around here that are rotting away slowly but surely. So I got to take care of that. Make sure you maintain what I have. And that's pretty much it. I've been pretty much working 5 out of 7 days a week at least, if not more. So not a whole lot of time for preps lately.
And
Well,
you
it
still have
sounds-
some stuff to fill in here.
Still, yeah.
Sounds like a similar theme on this end. It's been a lot of work, but managed to sneak in a little bit of work on the truck. I got newer, bigger snow tires installed, and actually gave me an inch of lift. So pretty good deal.
One of the cool
Now-
kids now.
Oh yeah, everybody's been telling me you should get bigger rubber on that. Should get bigger rubber on that. All right, so I got bigger rubber on it, and yes, it makes a big difference. So there we go. What else can I tell you? I'm now working on installing some ditch lights. One of our members on the podcast, Darius, had recommended some lights that he had good experiences with, so I picked up a set of those. But I like to do a clean install, so I'm also I finally chased down a switch that'll pop right into the console there, and it'll all look nice and pro finish. So going to be getting one last little bit for that. I don't think I'm going to do a video on this because there's a whole pile of people who are out there doing it already, and they're probably better at doing that kind of video than I. But it's going to be good to have that done. Also lined up a little bit of meat for the freezer. Probably going to yield a little bit over 100 pounds. So that's always nice to have a bit more meat in the freezer. And just a whole lot of work and a lot more work and just work. I'm stealing that from Brad. There you go.
Did you tag a deer or something, or did you just you talking like
Farmers.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
And for me, well, I haven't done much this week. I've been sick as a dog. I got laid up with something. Wasn't COVID. I tested a couple of times. It came back negative. But I was flat on my back for a couple of days. And while I was laying there on the couch, feeling sorry for myself, I thought, what the hell would a guy do if the zombie apocalypse ever happened, or if you had to bug out when you were feeling this freaking shitty? Like, really, it would be no fun at all. So that's my addition for this week.
Yeah, I'd recommend a big overdose of drugs at that point, like get some Sudafed, cough and cold, and again, that was during COVID. That was one of those things that got sold out, right? So if you can stack relatively deep with some decongestants or something, that's all you can do between that and caffeine, and you're on your way.
Yep, so much fun.
It's a hard one, but yeah.
And Kleenex. Well, that's Kleenex.
Kleenex is important too.
Or in the middle of a food poisoning attack. Think of that one. But that's a topic probably for another video, another cast, isn't it?
It might be. I think it might be.
Yeah, I've dealt with that.
All right. Well, with that, let's move into the main topic, shall we? So this evening we were looking at talking about winter preps, what you probably should have done a month or so ago to get ready, because at least here it's the snow's flying tonight. But we want to just go over a quick checklist, get everybody's mind, if you're not already there, into what you should be looking at for winter preps, and just discuss a few things that you should be swapping around and changing out and setting your mind to. So it's not shocking. Snow is flying. I don't know about where Ian is. It only rains there, right, Ian? You don't get snow.
Occasionally, but it's actually a bit of an urban myth, I gotta say, because I was sold on that by the real estate agent when I came here. He was like, "We've never had a full day below zero in the last 98 years." And he said with a straight face, I was like, "Oh, sweet." And then, yeah, he was lying completely. And so, yeah, when it does snow, when it does snow, it's so bad. It's the wet, heavy stuff, and we can't get up and down the driveway for like 3 weeks. And so, yeah, when it does come, it's a big deal.
Fair enough. Well, I figured we'd start out maybe with just some EDC stuff. So I know everybody has some things that they carry around, and you should carry it around year round, snow, rain, sunny, whatever, doesn't matter. But a few things that usually come in handy more in the wintertime versus carrying it around in the summer where you're not really going to need it because it's not going to help you much. Usually throw in some of those hot paws, those little packs that you can break open that mix in with oxygen and they warm up. Those are nice to carry around in the winter just in case you got to kind of warm up. It's not going to really help you in the summer, but wintertime, it's nice to heat up.
And they also double as a food preservation tool.
This is true. This is true. Yeah, you could just pop them in your can and away you go.
Yeah,
Yep.
so dual purpose.
Or your Mylar bag. Yeah,
Great to
True,
keep in
yeah.
a first aid kit as well. People who are out in exposure, the greatest things you can do is stick some of those under their armpits. It's a good
For
way
shock.
to get the heat going.
exactly. Extra gloves and hats. Again, always nice to have. Nothing worse than having a hat or gloves that are soaking wet. You got an extra set in your vehicle or wherever you tend to travel with, or whatever you tend to travel with most often, or in your backpack that goes with you everywhere. Just an extra set. Always good to have. Boots. Nice to have an extra set if you can carry them, but not always easy to carry around. That kind of depends on your mode of transport, right? And kind of what you have available to you. But if you can carry an extra set of boots, great to swap in about now because you might need them at some point. Mini shovel. Usually I like to carry something like that around in my vehicle all the time. But if you got to move stuff around, you only have space for it at certain times. Toss that in a vehicle or something. It's usually handy to have. Some ice melt or something to help you get out of a slippery situation. So if you're stuck somewhere, again, this kind of builds in the vehicles more than anything else, but handy to have. And snow brush. Because I went looking for mine today, couldn't find it, so I put it on the list.
Me too, actually. I was actually kind of laughing because we had a frosty car this morning, and I was like, I had one in Ontario. I know I did, and I drove it back, and I haven't changed out that stuff, and it's missing. So I don't know, maybe the kids ate it or something. But actually, all that stuff you mentioned is a really good point, because the fact is, we all want to dress for the weather and everything else, but occasionally if you're in fancy schmancy work clothes, or you're coming home from the furry convention like Eric does,
we don't kink shame around here, Ian.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying sometimes you're not dressed appropriately. So I mean, so if you have all that stuff in the car,
this costume is pretty warm.
Yeah, well, you can put on the boots still, keep those furry paws from getting waterlogged and stuff, and it's true. You might already have a toucan, but if it gets soft and wet, get a fresh one. That's wool or whatever. That's huge, because there's nothing worse than being stuck by the side of the road and not having something to change a tire, clothing wise. It's ridiculous. It's a bad scene.
Yeah,
one of the
just makes a miserable situation worse. Go ahead, Jeff.
One of the other things you could throw in there, a lot of people do it, and it's great for traction, is a bag of kitty litter. Mm-hmm. You're on the ice or something, you're in snow, you get stuck. That stuff actually works fairly well.
Yep, incredibly well. I've used it a few times to get out just the driveway here, because we happen to have a stupid cat. but that's a story for another podcast.
When I was driving a rear-wheel drive,
And we're
Walmart
talking the
truck.
fresh stuff, folks, not the used stuff. Just let's be clear here.
Yes, let's be clear.
Well, unless you're
Just
helping
too-
someone
too-
out you don't necessarily like, then
Well, it's too clumpy then, right?
not true.
Touche.
I suppose.
If you use the boxed format, it takes up very little space in the back of the truck, and you've got great ballast back there, and put that right over the axle or hang it up a little behind the axle, in fact, so that you've got a little bit more leverage and weight over that. Man, you're rocking.
Yeah, and a box of that stuff's usually pretty heavy too, so it helps out.
Great ballast. I love this stuff.
Let's see. You could also check out just your usual everyday carry that you may have in a vehicle or not. I usually use the seasons to kind of go through my stuff and just double check everything's intact and still there first off and in good shape. So, for example, I always carry a blanket, especially in the work car, because I'm usually traveling in that more often than not. But it's good to just take that out, check it out, make sure maybe a mouse or something hasn't chomped on it, because that would really ruin things if you thought, I'm stuck. I've got my blanket, pull it out, and it's full of mouse holes and mouse poop and who knows what else. So it's always good to check that out and double check, take a moment to just check out. I'm pretty sure everybody on the panel here and most people listening carry a pocket knife of some sort on them. Now's the time to maybe sharpen it, make sure it's good to go. Each season I check mine just to make sure. Any fluids in any of your backpacks or kits or anything that you carry around and might leave sitting in a vehicle, might want to double check and just make sure that it comes inside with you.
Well, especially the drinking water that we were recommending people bring too, right? I think
Right.
the foil covered ship or nautical kind of water packs, they have enough room to expand and contract with freezing, but I think most of them don't.
Yep.
Like a bottle of water will crack, of course. And
Yep.
What I do
That
with
one
the
always gets-
water, what I do with the water I carry in the truck in the water jugs that I refill all the time, I make sure before wintertime that they are decreased by at least a third. So I've got at least a third of air space at the top of the bottle, and then it can freeze thaw, and I'm not going to worry about it exploding or cracking. There's plenty of room in there. And I can still use this water. If I am marooned somewhere, all I got to do is warm it up, have a fire going. And I always have fire making gear with me in the truck. So that's a big one in the wintertime. Is having the ability to somehow get water, because getting thawed good water is nasty work if you're working with snow. So let's just leave it at that. That's another show, isn't it?
Paul in the live chat's got a good point too. I didn't even consider this. First aid items freeze, such as hemostatic dressings, heat packs, that kind of stuff. Didn't even think about that. That's a great point.
just like the Israeli bandage type of thing.
The ones that have like the quick clot impregnated in them, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah. So didn't even think about that because I carry all that kind of stuff in the vehicle with me. So.
Well, yeah, and
look at
I
that.
guess the cool
Good
pack
point.
too, right? Like the anti-burn stuff, and
Yep.
there's even the afterbite and all that other stuff. Yeah, I never even thought about all that.
That's a great point. Let's see what else we got here. So around the house, some stuff you can look at. Are your eaves troughs cleared and functioning? Because when that snow melts, that water's got to go somewhere.
And
Every-
the big thing with that is if your eave troughs are not clear, you run the a very good risk of an ice dam. The ice will back up onto your roof. It'll get under your shingles and it'll leak, and then you're in an even bigger mess. Ice dams cause a lot of damage, and a lot
Yep.
of people don't pay attention to that and don't make sure their eave troughs, even in the middle of winter, if you notice your eave troughs are full, get one of those. I have them, the roof melting cables, and I use that to melt out my eave trough so I don't get ice damming.
That's a good point.
That's smart.
Well, if you've got anything on your property that needs to be covered up and you haven't already done it, now would probably be the time. Like I said, snow's already flying. So things like air conditioning units, that kind of stuff, anything else that you leave out over the winter that needs to be covered up, go cover it up. Can't procrastinate anymore. I like to mark out my driveway for snow removal. I don't know if that's really a prep, but it's nice to kind of figure out where you're going to clear snow because it covers everything up, and then you kind of forget where the driveway is. So those are kind of handy. Speaking of that, snow blowers, all that kind of stuff, ready to go. Your shovels, are they in good shape, or they need to be replaced? That kind of stuff. But definitely get the snow blower ready if you haven't already. Oil change, gas top up, all that kind of good stuff. I think we've kind of beat this one quite a bit, but here we are again. Generator, is it ready to go? It's interesting how we've mentioned that over the last couple of episodes, and actually dedicated an episode to backup power just recently. It's almost like power outages are a thing more so in the wintertime, or more of a concern anyways.
More critical for sure. But also, I mean, if there's water in the gas line, it's gonna be a bigger issue if it
This is
gets below
true.
zero, right? So, I mean,
Yep.
like that's where you're test running and draining the gas, or at least if you have a low point where you can actually drain the gas and just check for water and stuff. It's like
Yep.
it's one of those things where like now is a good time to do it before it freezes solid.
It's a good point. I didn't even think about gas in the lines. Yep. Or gas in the lines. You want gas in the lines, water in the lines. Yep. Speaking of fuel, is your fuel storage ready to go? Have you rotated it recently? Is it older, or if it's been sitting all summer, it's probably time to swap it out now. So you've got a good stock replenished for the wintertime. That way, if you do need to run that generator, you're not putting garbage fuel into it. If you do have to run it, you've got fresh stuff that's ready to go. Jeff can probably attest to this one, but firewood stacked and easily accessible. That's a good one to have as well. And test your space heaters. You might need them, especially if that generator is running and you don't have enough power to run a furnace or something in the house, but you've got some space heaters. Test them out, make sure they're working. We've touched a little bit on vehicles, but tires, I think everybody's kind of mentioned swapping tires out to winter tires. You can curse and swear if you think you don't need them, that's fine. But if you got them, put them on. Antifreeze, just make sure that is at the appropriate level for whatever temperature you tend to hit. Again, I don't think it matters. Ian, you could probably run water through yours and be fine for all winter, but some places in Canada, you need a little bit better.
Shockingly, no, we still gotta run it.
I don't
And
know.
it's still got a load of Ontario special green stuff that I still have in there from when I drove back.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay. Good. Washer fluid, top up on that stuff. Be ready to go. Because, it's that season again where you hit the road and it's empty.
And ditch the summer formula for the winter too.
Right. Yep.
I'm in that time zone now where I still have a little bit of that bug stuff left in there, and it was freezing up this week. So I'm going to flush that out with some fresh stuff. That's the way to deal with that.
I just run the winter stuff all year.
There you go. Smarter.
Yep. Yes and no. You probably have very less bugs than I do on my windshield, but
It feels wherever I go, but that is another one.
fair enough. Yes. Wiper blades, another one to check on the vehicles, make sure they're good to go. Because you can have all the washer fluid in the world. If your wiper blades aren't working, it ain't gonna help you. That's pretty
So
much what I had.
I'll throw a couple other things in there around the vehicles. Your battery, your car battery. Make sure your battery is in decent shape. If it's a little bit weak, or you notice it is a bit weak, change it out. Very cold temperatures obviously don't work well with batteries. So if it's weak now, it's not going to be any good to you when it's minus 30. So make sure your batteries are in good shape. I said the same thing, windshield wipers. I carry a full change of clothing in my truck. So as Eric said, hat, gloves, boots, pair of kind of woolly-ish track pants, something warm, sweatshirt. I've got all that stuff. Snacks, extra fuel. If you can carry extra fuel in a safe place, not inside your vehicle, let's be clear about that. Probably wouldn't hurt to do so. And speaking of fuel for your vehicle, keep your tank relatively full. There's several reasons around that, but the big one for me basically is you never know when you're going to get stranded or stuck in traffic. And, that's for me is a massive hang up with electric vehicles is, I mean, gas, you can push it to a gas station or somebody may have gas. You got an electric vehicle and you're stuck sitting on a highway for 5 hours in traffic and it goes dead, you're pooched.
Wasn't that 2 years ago? They had a bunch of cars stuck on Holland Marsh there on Highway 400 that all kind of spent the night
Yep.
there.
Yep.
More-
That's
yeah, more or
happened
less it
more
was-
than once. Yep, more than once.
Yep,
that's
it's happened more than once.
Ouch.
Yeah, so same thing. Eric mentioned it, but on your house, check your exterior. You know, it's been over the summer. Who knows what may have happened? Check for any damage, cracks, things that could let cold air in, warm air out. Make sure your windows and door seals are in good shape. Again, we mentioned eave troughs are clear. It's nice to have some kind of a backup heating source that doesn't require electricity. So something along the line of a buddy heater. We've talked about those. A wood stove. Somebody I knew in another chat. I had never thought of this or even heard of this, but they said that there are bunk heaters that a lot of transports and big trucks and that use. Obviously, they're not going to warm a house, but in a life or death situation, they could keep a room warm. And apparently, all you need is a little bit of diesel fuel and a 12-volt battery. So I would look into that. Flares, if you've got them, they're always nice to have, or some sort of a signaling device to say, hey, I'm broken down, especially if your battery's dead, you have no lights. Make sure your snow removal equipment's in good working order. Keep an eye on the amount of snow that may be accumulating on your roof. We talked about that. I mentioned that with the eave trough thing. And have it removed if it starts to build up. Snow is incredibly heavy. And when it gets wet, it's even heavier. And I know when Buffalo had that major lake effect snow situation, I'm thinking 3 or 4 years ago, they had several house collapses because people couldn't get the snow off the house before it got warm enough, and the thousands and thousands and thousands of extra pounds collapsed their roofs in. So,
So we have a solution for the electric car problem. Jared in the live chat mentions just keep a generator in the trunk of that electric car.
well, that would work too. Yeah, I guess.
There we go.
We're making a
Problem
gas-powered
solved.
car vicariously.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, no. Phil brings up a good point too about the high-vis vest, which I don't think
Yes.
we've ever mentioned before. But road flares are one thing for sure. I've actually gone away from road flares because A, they're expensive, and B, they only last 20 minutes stops type of thing. Whereas you get a good solid bright light that has a strobe feature or some sort of like a flashing feature.
Yep.
Battery will last a lot longer and less of a fire hazard in your car, especially if you have volatiles in the back of the truck or whatever too.
It's a valid point.
Yeah, I still have some road flares floating around, but I'd actually just prefer to use a strobe. But the high vis vest is a really good idea. For sure.
Huge, great idea.
Yep. Never
So you don't
even.
get pegged by passerbys that refuse to stop and help. Toronto style.
Or if you do get pegged, you're easier to find.
Yeah.
True.
It's that.
You find your carcass more easily. Yeah.
The
But,
vehicle
yeah.
thing is definitely worth picking up on here because we're in Canada. We have really far distances that we go to work, to go see our families. And we're especially vulnerable to weather in our vehicles when things fail. I see this all the time in my line of work. And so everything that everybody here has mentioned about vehicles so far is dead spot on. Do your tire checks. Please check your tire pressures, folks. So many problems occurs because your tire pressure is incorrect. Even if you've got snows on, you got to check those tire pressures. Batteries. I get a lot of calls because of batteries. Your booster packs are no good if they're as cold as your battery. Keep them inside those booster packs. That's the biggest tip that I can recommend. And don't buy a cheap one. If it's under $100, it's not a booster pack. It's an auxiliary light for you to charge your cell phone. That's all it is. So spend the money.
The Noco seem to have good reviews overall. I think we're all using those too, aren't we?
They're fantastic. I've had my Noco for years and has yet to fail me.
Noco's a good brand. The shops even use them. So if that's what the shops are using,
That's a
probably
clue.
safe bet. Yeah,
That's
could
a
be
clue.
Reflective cones. People don't even bother looking up anymore, but those reflective cones seem to grab
Those will
their
stop
attention,
them. Yep.
right? Because they're like, "Oh my god, I'm going to damage my car. There's construction coming," right?
Not even
So-
that. Just cone. You can put a
Yeah,
cone anywhere.
cone. Yeah, so
Yeah. Don't know
put
what it
them
is.
back, right?
Nope.
Anything happens to your car out there, just use those cones, man. Put them out there. Make yourself visible. Gosh, there's so much. We could do an entire spin-off just on the vehicle thing.
I think we have in the past.
we have.
Yeah, I think
eh?
a couple times, yeah. But I mean, yeah, again, high calorie snacks. I mean, go to Costco, grab a bag full of Cliff or like a box full of Cliff Bars, just throw them in the back till springtime.
Yeah,
And then-
they won't go bad.
They will in summer, let me tell you.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's not good in summer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
They're
can
okay
get
in the
ugly.
winter.
Yeah.
So just quick back to what you talked about, the reflective vest. So this is my winter jacket that I put in, that's in my truck. This is my winter, so it's highly reflective, goes everywhere I go when I'm in my vehicle, and and it's incredibly warm. And I apparently glow like a glow stick.
Oh, we're just not going to make any comments on that, Jeff.
Nope, don't.
Nope.
Because I know you and don't.
Yep. If I could cycle back to my list for a second here, I skipped over just a section on refreshing your knowledge as well. Just specific cold ailments that you're going to run across, like hypothermia, right? Something you're going to see probably more often in the wintertime. Not to say it can't happen in the summer or the spring or the fall, etc., but you're probably going to come across as more often in the wintertime. I don't know. We've got wood burning appliances and that kind of stuff going on. So carbon monoxide, anyone? Alan? No.
You didn't say it 3 times, so he didn't show up.
Oh,
so.
right. Well,
Yeah.
Next
So actually,
episode.
well, I mean, we did just pass the daylight savings time change, which was the time to change them out, right? And hopefully
correct.
that is one thing. But even around the house, like I have a house powered, like it's on the house grid, so to speak. I have a propane gas detector for propane leaks because of the
Smart.
gas
Yeah.
stove and stuff. So I mean, yeah, it just never hurts to make sure that they're still functioning and everything else. And Gary mentions that the Cliff Bars will give the blanket mouse something to eat.
It's true.
So- That is true. And well, he'll
Yeah.
be diverted away from the blanket that way, at least.
Mhm. Can
So-
you tell that maybe I've had a blanket chewed in the past? Ice safety, another thing that you don't have to deal with in the summer, obviously, but as the winter comes around, a lot of people like to venture out on the ice and either skidoo or ice fish or skate, all that kind of stuff. Just take a second to remind yourself, what is safe and what's not. I know no ice is safe ice, but just remind yourself what you can actually go out and utilize fairly safely versus what you probably shouldn't be on. And don't be in a rush to get out there right off the hop. There's a lot of people like to just run out as soon as it looks like the lakes are iced over, but they're not quite safe to be on yet. And then the fun one. Go for it, Jeff.
One of the great contacts for that kind of information is your local ice hut operator.
Yep, exactly.
They're not going to put their huts out there and rent them out to people and have them going through, or maybe even your local snowmobile club. They're not going to put their trail across the lake till they know that somebody's not going to go swimming, because they're going to be in for a liability issue. So, those are some good things to reach out to and get some information from.
Well, you never want to be
What?
the first guy on the ice, the last guy on the ice.
Yep.
Depending on the season.
Somewhere in the middle is usually good.
Yeah.
And then the fun one here, take your car out after the first snow or two and find a parking lot and just drive it around a little bit, test the brakes, remind yourself what it's like to slide a little bit in the car, because it's fun. And you're going to end up sliding for sure at some point in the snow. So doing it in more of a controlled environment to remind yourself what that's like avoids you ending up in the ditch, hopefully. So
And
There's always
to add to that, try it with or without traction control, because there's a difference.
there is.
And there are
Yes.
situations where turning off the traction control is to your major advantage. Traction control can sometimes freak out when there's too much slippage, and that doesn't help you if it just shuts you down while you're trying to actually get out. So remember
true.
to play with both there. Know how to use your vehicle. And the best way to do that, like Eric said, is you go out there and do it. Have some fun. You know, go out there, get a coffee or a warm drink, and go out and play. When you've got a good 6 inches of snow on the ground, it's a great time to do that. That's
Well,
also when you'll find out if you have a low ground clearance problem.
Well, it also gives you a false sense of security, right? It's like, I've got winter tires and traction control. I'm invincible.
I'm
and
good. Yep.
yeah, it's like, no, it's not really the case. But
It's not how that works.
yeah.
So we'll flip back to the shovel part. You know, ground clearance. If you don't have adequate enough, you better have a good little shovel because you'll be using it often. Yeah, but
And Phil in the live chat mentions, which is something I never thought of, that I actually do have in my the box in the back of my truck is a set of toe straps.
oh yes, I have all kinds of rigging for that in the back of my pickup, as we talked about in my vehicle EDC. But that's a big one. Recovery gear. A lot of calls for service can be done away with if you've got a couple of good toe straps or recovery straps. Really good ones are those fancy new style ones that they're actually designed to give a shock to your car and help snap it out of that heavy stuff that it's stuck into. And those are pretty good too. Not cheap, but if you're in an area where a lot of this occurs, might not be a bad thing to do.
Gary's got a good tip in the live chat there to never use a chain to recover.
Yeah,
Good point. Yep.
yeah,
That can turn very deadly very quickly.
It can get ugly. It's better to use those on the end of a winch, but wouldn't use it for any kind of dynamic recovery at all. Period. End of story.
Well, you can use them once.
Well,
Yeah,
Not
there's
use them again
that.
after that. So.
yeah,
This is true.
yeah. Kinetic straps. That's the official term for them.
Yes.
Yeah, those are pretty good. Now you can use the strap type a certain amount of times before they fatigue. So don't go and make a business out of getting people out with your strap. After about 10 uses, you can consider that strap probably done. If it's a strap type. If it's a recovery rope, that's a different story. That if it's the right kind, man, you can get 20, 30 uses or more out of them and keep going and trucking. So yeah, recovery ropes, toe straps, know the difference, but definitely have something on hand. What else? I'm trying to think back of everything I have in my vehicle that I take for granted that it's always there. Shovels.
It is a good point to just have a way to help yourself get out of Dodge, basically, because chances are you might be able to call for help and get some assistance from a tow truck, etc. But if you're out in the middle of nowhere or you're in more of a shit hit the fan type of scenario, maybe help's not coming. You're going to want a way to get yourself out of Dodge and carry on. So it's nice to have that kind of equipment in your vehicle and know how to use it. Weird.
Or what's super likely is that not only are you stuck in that situation, but a whole pile of other people are stuck in that same situation as you in your area. All the truckers and all the service people are all busy. And so your wait time is 3 hours, right? So 3 hours it's a long time in the cold, man. It's better.
Oh, yes.
It's better if you've got a way to get yourself out. Plus you stay warm at the same time. You might even sweat a little bit. Yeah, not a bad thing, right? You might sweat. But yes, recovering yourself out of the snow is a big deal. A lot of areas in Canada, when you get a snow dump, you can't see once the snow is coming down. And so you might be in a ditch and people could be going by you and they don't even know you're there.
Yep.
Right. So getting yourself out into safety, and if you can even get recovery, man, you're off to the races. Yeah, it's a big deal.
And this is where having your snacks packed in your vehicle and having your change of clothes and everything else just all comes into play, because you're going to get hungry from all the work. You're going to get sweaty from all the work. You can possibly change and have a snack and be comfortable.
It makes a big difference. It's actually, not only are you going to be sweating from the heavy work in the recovery, but you're physically like so you've got an adrenaline dump because you're
Mhm.
busy trying to work out a serious physics problem, a 2.5 to 4 ton object at
Yep.
least that you're moving, and you got to do it safely so you're not crushing yourself or your friends or your family. You don't want to get crushed by other cars. If you're lucky, you've got law enforcement behind you with their big flashers so that everybody sees. Most people wake up when they see a police car on the highway or on the streets. Like, oh, geez, I'm not going to crash into that, hopefully.
I'll disagree with you on that, but
Oh, yeah.
that's why there's
It's-
cones.
It's amazing. Yes, it's amazing what people don't see. It's right in front of them. So yeah, the best you can do is to not get into that situation at all. But knowing what weather is, and what things are like when lots of people are together with vehicles, and we talk a lot about vehicles here in the country because again, we go long distances, and it's darned cold. It's not a civilized place to go more than 5 kilometers in the wintertime without a vehicle. I think 5 kilometers is about the limit of what's reasonable to walk to work in the wintertime. What do you guys think?
Probably
agree with that.
beyond most
Yeah.
people right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Just throwing that out there for anybody who wants an arbitrary number.
It's on the internet now. It's got to be true.
Yeah, if
Gotta
that's
be
something you need there, because 2K you can walk pretty quickly. 5K it's okay. I'm kind of done after 5K. If it's just a walk to go somewhere. If
Gotta
it's
stop for my Timmies, eh?
yeah, just to go for a
Canadian.
Timmy's,
Yeah.
5K is a bit far. 2K, no problem.
Hey, Terry, what do you got?
I think no. Did anybody cover those little clip-on traction aids you can put in your boots?
No.
I usually keep a couple of pairs of those under my seat, just in case you do have to get out and walk on the ice, because there can be kind of handy.
Well, there's dollar store versions of those, but there's actually decent ones at Costco right now. Too.
Yeah, I mean decent ones. Yeah, I don't want the dollar store ones. 'cause
Yeah.
that's just when it's going to give up is when you really need the damn thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, some
Agreed.
good ones are worth the investment.
That's
I
a
always
good
keep a
point.
couple of pairs in there. I usually keep a fold-up saw in my back seat as well, just in case you need it. Chainsaw on the back end, but you never know. When you live out in the country, it's not uncommon to come home and find a tree blocking your way. So it's a good idea if you like that to have a chainsaw
Or,
or at least a handsaw,
Or on your roof.
or on your roof, or worse. What else did I forget? It's not a bad idea to carry some Gasline antifreeze around with you. I know sometimes you don't know when you're going to pick up a bad dose of gas somewhere, and then your vehicle starts to run shitty, and then you're scrambling around trying to put something in it before it freezes up and quits completely. So if you got a few bottles of it, tucked underneath your back seat, you can pull them out and dump them in your tank if you find
really
it
good
running
point.
crappy. Because that happens. People do get a bad dose of gas once in a while.
If we really want to
Other
set
than-
Alan off, we could mention Lock De-icer too.
Oh yeah,
Maybe now he'll show us.
I was just going to make that
to.
with the caveat that don't leave it inside your car.
Well,
Put it somewhere.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not doing you any good inside your car when your doors are frozen.
well that's true.
That's
Well, it
like the
didn't work.
master pack.
Mentioned carbon monoxide twice and Lock De-icer once, and he's still not here.
nothing.
We tried. We brought out all the good stuff, and he's still not here.
Yeah, we got the full bat signal going, and it didn't go.
But no, I think that's all I got. I think you guys covered just about everything else.
There we go.
Well, Eric's list was pretty exhaustive. It was a good all around list. Wouldn't be able to add much more to anything we've got here, unless we had to really talk about serious. You're on your own again, kind of stuff. In which case, it's not a bad idea to have a good jack in the car. I can go higher than you're normally expect to in the summertime, because in wintertime
Good
everything's
point.
more complicated with the snow. You've got more weight. You've got to worry a bit more about weight distribution over snow and ice. That's a big deal when you're trying to work with your car. I can't add much more than all this without
Hey.
rambling. So
Phil's got a great point in the live chat. If you have to leave your vehicle and walk, have a pull sled.
that's usually in my
Great
truck
point.
as well.
Great
Yeah.
point.
Okay, called it toboggan in Canada. Come on now.
This is
But-
true.
Let's
This
be
is-
real.
Polk is good because you can actually push it, and that's way more effective.
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was kind of joking when I wrote it down, but my West Coast D bag says I gotta just don my raincoat. Winter prep's done. Mic drop. No, but seriously, actually, from a winter perspective, it's actually I've been colder in rainstorms than I have in snowstorms. I mean, because that stuff will soak right
Yeah.
through to your bones, right? So,
Yeah.
in all seriousness, a warm layer is one thing, but keeping it dry is another. So,
Yep.
yeah, just obviously on if you're like west of the Rockies, hypothermia can happen just as fast in a rainstorm as anything else. So, yeah,
Great point.
wetness appropriate stuff for the winter time. For me, it's actually kind of funny because I go away for days on end, and so little things, unplug your hoses. So if there's a cold snap while you're gone, whatever. I joked about finding my ice scraper, but yeah, no, it's still needed out here. I'm off grid for a lot of my chicken coops. So when it comes to summertime, we have to keep all the windows open and have the air vents open and everything else so they don't overheat. But in the wintertime, of course, I got to close them all up and put like clear plexiglass on the windows and everything else because now I got to rely on the animals' body heat to keep them warm in their coops, or else they freeze to death. Even if it's only -2, -3, that's enough, right? Because they're tropical birds. Like chickens are actually Asian jungle fowl, with a little bit of evolution and selective breeding thrown in, right? So they're actually not used to cold weather. There's actually only one cold weather breed in the world. That's one in Quebec. And but yeah, like there's
Of course, it's in Quebec.
yeah, well, it was spread over 300 years thanks to the OG French settlers. They created what they call the Chanticleer, which is actually like a furry-footed ptarmigan-looking chicken. But the rest of them, they kind of suck in cold weather. They really do. So, so yeah, like there's actually there's some considerations for the animals then too, right? So now you got to worry about keeping the waters from freezing if you don't have electricity and everything else. Yeah, I joke about winter tires, but yeah, I guess below 7 degrees even, it's still there. I guess they're theoretically more effective if you have them. Use them. I'm not a big believer in them, but I just happen to have a set for the one car, so I'll just throw them on there for now. But yeah, the big thing for me was the wet weather more than anything else because it does come into play for sure. And then of course when snow happens on steep hillsides, which they don't really design for snowfall, they just all it takes is a centimeter of snow and everybody goes racing for the ditches, right? So that's where all that recovery gear comes into play.
This is true. Yep.
Yeah, because like if you ever seen even like straight and level Vancouver in a snowstorm, and it's hilarious to see how many vehicles are in the ditch. Because these people, for the 1 or 2 days of the year where there's actually snow on the roads, they have no idea how to deal with it.
So you're saying they didn't listen to the podcast and go to a parking lot and practice?
Not at all. And I'm not being that guy. I'm just serious. But some of them, it may be their first snow they've ever seen.
Well, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Okay,
they live in a warm climate. They're new to town. And all of a sudden, the first snowstorm happens and boom, they're in the ditch. And yeah, now they hopefully are listening to the podcast by now. So anyway, but no, I didn't really have much else to add for the West Coast stuff. So
Yeah, very good.
Well, you did brought up an interesting point, and here in the Ottawa Valley, what's interesting is we're at this time of the year where it will freeze and thaw, and freeze and thaw, and the weather does the same thing. It'll snow, it'll sleet, it'll rain, and then it'll freeze, and you'll get a lot of those cycles. And so you have to almost be ready for all of the weather during this time of the year. Unfortunately, it's and the wet is just harder on the body and the mind when it's cold. That is for certain. I prefer snow at this time of the year than anything. That rain can really make things miserable. So prep all your gear accordingly, because being stuck in the cold and the rain is no good. It's not safe. People don't think clearly and they do stupid things in this kind of weather. So anything you can do to be ready and ahead, like we've all mentioned on this show so far, I think is going to keep you out of trouble and out of that wet and cold.
It's a great point. It is that fun time of year.
Oh yeah.
well, humidity goes up in the atmosphere. It can affect the cold or the hot more, right? So it's just when it's that slushy weather, it's just disgusting. So
Yep, it's part of the game.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, shall we move into the podcast challenge if nobody else has anything last second to add?
Yeah, for sure. So let's do at least 3 things to prevent damage by freezing temps around the house or in your vehicle. And also put 3 things in your vehicle for winter. Let us know what you did.
Awesome. All right. We've got some upcoming events, and it's an exciting one. We'll let Terry let us know what's going on.
Okay, so the dates and location have been set for the 10th or the 10th anniversary of the annual Preppers Meet. And it's all set. So mark your calendars for July 11th to 14th, 2024. And the venue for this year's event is going to take place at something called a Frontier Ghost Town, which sounds kind of cool, right? There's some neat old buildings here. It's like an old Wild West town. And I think it's going to be a really neat venue. They're on 100 acres. And so they're located at 503186 Grey Road 12 in West Grey, Ontario. And for updates on that, just keep an eye on our Facebook page, Annual Preppers Meet Facebook page, and we'll get more information about when tickets are available and so on and so on and so on. The cool thing about this year is you can camp on site. Like other years, we had to camp off site, but this year, or if you had an RV, that is, you had to camp off site. So this year, you'll be able to keep your vehicle and camp on site. So it should be really good. And we're looking for a big turnout. So come, everybody come.
There's 100 acres to fill.
Sorry?
What about us hammockers?
Oh, you can hammock there too. There's lots. There should be some trees. I hope. I haven't got that because there are a few hammockers in the group.
I
don't know how you guys do it. I'm going to tell you. I don't know how you do it. Right?
Two hammocks or 2 trees?
2 trees.
2 trees. Yeah, that's a good question. It never was any problem in the place we had before, but this one I'm not sure because I haven't been there yet. I haven't seen it.
There were plenty of trees at the last spot. Plenty of trees.
We'll have to find out the answer to that one for you. I'm hoping you're going to come.
Oh, I'm going to put it on my calendar. I plan on coming. This is a big one for me. I want to see this. So
I cannot say more than enough good things about the annual Preppers Meet. It's an absolute blast. So if you haven't been before, you got to get out and check it out.
Gotta come.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be even better at this new location. Not that it wasn't great at the old locations.
Mm-hmm.
It was getting a little tight for space.
Yeah,
it was getting
tight, and it was
which was
so
awesome
nice
to
have
see.
your vehicle.
Yeah,
on hand where you can keep your gear in your vehicle, and you don't have to have it spread out, transported back and forth by ATV and cart like we did before. So this should be a good thing, I think. But
there was a little bit of a prepper feel though to not having the vehicle and having to figure out how to get your stuff around without it.
Yes.
Right? So
you had to do the die hard there. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great event. If you haven't set the dates aside yet, make sure you do because it's a good time. Lots of really, really good info. Lots of great seminars.
Good folks.
Good folks.
Good fun.
And oh yeah. All right, Jeff, you got a weather blurb.
Yeah. So as we've funny that this was part of the podcast tonight. It's that time of year that snow squalls are an issue in the traditional snow belt areas. The waters are still relatively warm. They're ice free. You get the cold wind. You get the fetch, what they call fetch, off of the warm water, and a long stretch of open water, and you get some lake effect that can be very, very substantial, depending on variable factors. So, like I say, they're actually sparking up. We had some hit our area this afternoon. Last time I went outside, it was actually raining, but it's just one of those things. You know, a lot of high impact areas, Upper Michigan gets it. Buffalo, as I mentioned, at the end of Lake Erie, Watertown, that area, at the end of Lake Ontario, anywhere where you have a long stretch of open water and the wind runs across that, you're going to get a ton of snow. So areas around Georgian Bay, around where I am, they're saying we could see upwards to 50 centimeters in the next 3 days. So, and the other thing with it that you need to be aware of is it's highly variable. You can be driving down the road and the roads are dry, and 5 minutes later, you can't see 2 feet in front of you and there's a foot of snow on the ground. So always be aware of those sudden changes in weather and road conditions. and be prepared for that if you have to travel in those traditional snow belt areas.
And deal of the week there again.
I was going to say, are you muted?
Yeah, I am muted. Yeah.
Okay. Deal of the week. So Intersurplus, intersurplus.com. They are currently running a Black Friday sale on some discounted European hunting guns, including free shipping, discounted prices, a bunch of other stuff. They're all based on the Mauser 96 action, but if you don't mind 30-06 or 8mm Mauser or some other kind of lesser known calibers in Canada anyway, fantastic deals, like $230 upwards, like crazy cheap. So yeah, I mean, it's take advantage of the Black Friday. I think it's on for another 3 days or something like that. So give it a shot. There's a link in the show notes.
Awesome. And we'll move in the shout outs.
I got one. I think they mentioned it last week, but just in case. Spencer at Advent Arms Corporation. So he's a newly established gunsmith here in Coombs, British Columbia, which is like 10 minutes from my house here. Does custom firearms work. He is working on a zombie apocalypse version of a 870. He's kind of on the plan with us, so to speak. Yeah, he's got custom 870 work. He's got repair work. He does it all. So adventarms.ca, or you can email him at spencer@adventarms.com. And pretty cool guy. He's I guess apprenticed under a local gunsmith from Vancouver, and just starting out. So yeah, try and support him as best we can.
Awesome. All right, I see mention in the iTunes email section here from Paul about looking for some battery packs. So I know what that's all about. I'll do some research and see what I can find for you.
Yeah, I didn't even know what a HTX 202 was.
I'm going to guess a ham radio.
Okay.
No, I know exactly what Paul's talking about. We mentioned it a couple episodes ago. He was going to email me looking for some battery packs. He's got a VHF handheld radio he needs some batteries for. So I could maybe dig some up for him. So we'll see. I'll have a look, Paul. I'll let you know if I can find them. With that, I'll bring episode 223. I can't believe we didn't even mention it. 223.
Best caliber ever.
Best caliber there is. I'll bring episode 223 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the audio podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or of course your favorite podcast app. Please submit a review. It does help other people find us, and plays around the algorithms and all that fun stuff.
And we do record these shows live on YouTube. Book of Faces if you must. If you want an early peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. That will give you an alert when we are going live. If anybody wants to reach out to me for anything, you can contact me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, or I am frequently on the Discord.
And for me, you can reach me on the annual Preppers Meet Facebook page, or just email me directly at terrylblackmore@hotmail.com.
You can find me, the Frugal Gunny, on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook for now, Instagram, and CPP Discord. And 308 is the best caliber, I'm afraid, guys. I got to drop it right there. Yeah.
Oh, you're probably right, but yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But we just have, that's another 80 episodes away. So come on, we'll get back to that.
Awesome.
We'll get there. We're saving the best. We're saving the best.
Well, I guess since I'm banned from everywhere else, you can reach Ian directly by emailing me at theislandretreat@gmail.com. You can occasionally find me on Canadian Patriot Podcast. We record Monday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're on iTunes and YouTube there. It's the only way I can sneak onto to YouTube and otherwise, I guess. I'm also on the Gilded app for Patriot Podcast. Email us if you want an invite. It's actually, it's pretty good. It's got all sorts of topics to talk about. There's even a prepping section on there. There you can find us discussing why government waste in society has me hoping for another Ace Age.
How have you not been banned from Gmail yet?
I don't know. Honestly. Considering what I send on it, it's pretty amazing.
We're going to see if we can change that.
Yeah.
Just check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat. You can also email me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. So thanks for joining us. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
And keep learning.